I'm the annoying supporting female character in a campus novel. In order to oppose the female lead, I cried and deceived the loyal male supporting character Vincent. Actually, we are the male and female leads in a campus novel. I'll die if you don't treat me well. He believed it and let me bully and order him around for a long time. After the college entrance examination, I left without saying goodbye. When we met again, he had become a powerful business tycoon. At the wine table, just because my childhood sweetheart proposed to me. That night, Vincent with reddish eyes tied my hands and went crazy. Do you dare to marry him? Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. Subscribe us to read wonderful novels every day. Now the story begins. After being accidentally pushed down the stairs by the new transfer student Sabrina, I awakened to the plot of the novel. It turned out that the world I lived in was a campus NP porn novel. Sabrina is the innocent female lead, and I'm the delicate supporting female character who is all looks and no brains. Even though I have countless advantages like the stars in the sky. Since the day Sabrina transferred to our school, the boys who used to chase me gradually fell at her feet. They would even say that classic line, I was really blind before to like Marcia. In the end, even my friends around me suddenly started to dislike me and admire her. Oh, I'm not the only one with such a miserable character setting. There is also Vincent, the loyal male supporting character who picked up Sabrina when he was 12 and took good care of her. He is a born bookworm and knows nothing about relationships. He can only be the one Sabrina turns to when she gets into trouble and the tool to make the male leads jealous. The day Sabrina's relationship with the male leads was made public, Vincent gradually realized his true feelings. But when he found Sabrina refused him without hesitation. Brother Vincent, all these years, I've always regarded you as my own brother. Now, the other three male leads are embarrassing. Sabrina because of my fall. And he is kneeling in front of my hospital bed pleading for Sabrina. In the hospital room, Vincent is on his knees. His thin back is very straight, and his tone is firm. Miss Marcia, what do you want to let Sabrina go? With this kind of perception, not only can he not get a chance to eat at the table, but he doesn't even have the opportunity to sit at the table. I glanced at him sideways. The young man in front of me is very thin, and his white shirt is worn out from washing. Obviously, he is reluctant to buy a new one for himself, but Sabrina is well fed by him. After thinking for a long time, I replied to him, I can let Sabrina go, but I have a condition. You have to be my dog for 3 months and treat me well. Then I'll forgive her. Why 3 months? Because the first thing I did after waking up was to apply to transfer abroad and stay away from this crappy novel. But the approval process will probably take 3 months. Sabrina pushed me and made me fall. And she refused to apologize in person. I really can't swallow this humiliation. I can only use this bookworm to annoy Sabrina. Vincent frowned and took a long time to react to what I said. Why me? You shouldn't be short of dogs. The word, dog, was deliberately emphasized. I pinched my thigh, and a layer of mist instantly filled my eyes. I'll be honest with you. Actually, we are the male and female leads in a campus suite novel. If you don't treat me well, the system will detect the abnormality, and I might die. So, you have to treat me well and help me complete the system's task. The veins on Vincent's forehead twitched, and he interrupted me. Miss Marcia, stop joking. I'm poor, and you don't look like someone who can endure hardship with me. Besides, I hated you from the first time I saw you. There was a dead silence in his dark eyes. I understand. It's the self-cultivation of a male supporting character. Really? I stared straight at him, supporting my face with a smile. But you will be super rich in the future. At first, my parents opposed it. But I followed you to start a business without hesitation. We even got married at the end of the novel. You love me to death." I was lying to him. In fact, his real ending was that he offended many big shots for Sabrina, and his tendons in his hands and feet were cut and he ended up dead in the sea. After a while, Vincent suddenly turned his face away and avoided my gaze. "Whatever you say. As long as you can let Sabrina go, it's up to you." After that day, I dismissed all the bodyguards around me. Only Vincent was left by my side. Most of the time, I didn't order him around. In his free time, he would stay in the room reading. I often forgot that he was there. Only at school did I deliberately order him around in front of Sabrina. Sabrina finally realized something was wrong on a rainy day after school. I hate rainy days the most because they will splash my newly bought limited edition shoes. In front of the teaching building, I held an umbrella and patted the arm of the young man beside me, signaling him to squat down with my eyes. "Bookworm, carry me." Just as Vincent was about to bend over, the girl who rushed over stopped him. Sabrina opened her eyes wide and angrily accused me. "Marcia, are you used to being a young lady? Do you want to order everyone around?" I looked at her and found it ridiculous. "You pushed me and made me stay in the hospital. You refused to pay the medical expenses of $150,000. Not even an apology. What's wrong with me ordering him?" When she heard this, Sabrina's eyes instantly turned red. She turned to look at Vincent. "So you were bullied by her because of me. Vincent, will you come home with me?" Sabrina carefully tugged at Vincent's sleeve. Vincent didn't move. The wind mixed with the moisture of the rain blew on me, making me feel uncomfortable. I frowned impatiently and looked at my watch. "I have a piano class later. Are you going?" "Vincent." Sabrina was anxious and glared at me fiercely. I said it was an accident. "Why are you being so unforgiving? It's just $150,000. I'll go to work and pay it back." Before she could finish speaking, Vincent interrupted her. "Miss Marcia, I'll carry you home." I wasn't surprised by this. As the most thrifty one in the family, paying $150,000 or being a dog for 3 months, Vincent surely knew which one to choose better than Sabrina. When he carried me into the rain, the sound of raindrops came from behind, mixed with Sabrina's crying shout. "Vincent, have you lost your self-esteem?" I held an umbrella and lazily lay on his shoulder. "Bookworm, do you hate me to death?" Vincent didn't say a word and just carried me forward. After that time, I found a quicker way to piss off Sabrina, compared with the love of the male leads. She seemed to be more afraid that the loyal male supporting character who belonged to her would be taken away by me. So every morning, I deliberately left a lipstick mark on Vincent's neck. I said it was a reward for him with a good mood. "Bookworm, this is a reward for you." At first, he always tried to secretly wipe it off, but later, he seemed to get used to it. He even reminded me when I forgot. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it, until one weekend night. The horror movie I had been waiting for 3 years updated to the 2nd season. I couldn't hold back and wanted to watch it, but I was also scared. I forced Vincent to watch it with me. On the sofa, the light was dim. He suddenly said, "Am I doing okay recently?" "Pretty good." Vincent continued to ask. "Then I want another reward. You can tell Uncle Butler what you want." I was busy watching the drama and perfunctorily replied to him. He asked again. "Really? Anything is okay." Really? Really?" The next second, my sight was blocked. When Vincent's cold lips pressed against mine, my brain froze for 4 or 5 seconds. After reacting, I quickly pushed him away and slapped him neatly. "What are you doing?" That was my first kiss. In the dimly lit room, Vincent kept his head turned sideways where I slapped him. He asked to himself, "Aren't you the male and female leads? Didn't you say we would get married? Why did you refute it when Merlin said I was your boyfriend that day?" I was stunned. Merlin was my childhood sweetheart. He came to my house to see me when I had a bad cold a few days ago. At that time, I was lying on the sofa ordering Vincent to cook porridge for me. Merlin casually asked, "Is that guy in the kitchen your new boyfriend?" I stuck on a fever-reducing patch and replied to him in a daze. "No, he isn't." Could Vincent really believe that he and I were the male and female leads? But unfortunately, I was going to transfer abroad in 2 days. Just as I was hesitating whether to take Vincent abroad and explain that matter to him slowly, I got the news that he got into a fight with some gangsters and was sent to the hospital. After asking for leave from the teacher, I rushed to the hospital. Before I pushed open the door, I heard faint crying coming from inside. My hand froze as I pushed the door. I saw the situation inside through the glass window. Vincent was unconscious on the hospital bed. A boy in the room was talking to Sabrina. Vincent is usually a gentle person, but I don't know what happened this time. He fought like he didn't care about his life. When Sabrina heard this, she cried even more pitifully. "It's all my fault. I shouldn't have told Brother Vincent that those gangsters harassed me a few days ago. He must have fought them for me." In late autumn, my nose suddenly felt sour. I stood at the door. I looked down at the transfer application I had applied for Vincent in my hand and suddenly felt ridiculous. This person is really the dog chosen by the system for the female lead. I casually threw the application into the hospital trash can. The next morning, Merlin accompanied me to complete all the transfer procedures and we boarded the plane to go abroad. Time passed quickly, like a white horse passing through a gap. No one expected that. In just 5 years, Vincent and I had a big change in our status. When we met again, he was a powerful business tycoon in City C and the focus of the whole banquet, and I was stopped by the security guards and couldn't even enter the door. Since 3 years ago, my family's company suddenly had problems with the capital chain. My father was already in poor health and died of a cerebral hemorrhage in less than 2 years. Until this month, the capital chain was on the verge of breaking. I finally got an invitation to this banquet, but when I got to the door, I was told that the invitation was invalid. It's like when it rains. It pours. When I stood under the eaves to avoid the rain, a sudden pain came from my stomach. The dress I was wearing was already thin, and it was slowly getting wet by the wind and rain. I was in so much pain that I squatted down and called a car with my phone. The next second, a black Bentley stopped in front of me. I looked up and just as the car window rolled down, I met the gaze of the person in the driver's seat who was biting a cigarette. He seemed to want to get rid of the smell of the cigarette, and he stopped the car without noticing me crouching in the corner. Vincent was slightly stunned for 2 seconds. He had shed his youthful immaturity, and his eyebrows and eyes were much sharper and colder. I subconsciously lowered my head and avoided his gaze. Vincent's familiar yet unfamiliar face could easily remind me of the past memories. There was only the sound of the rain in the alley, and the atmosphere was indescribably awkward. After a long time, he extinguished the cigarette and lazily glanced at me. "Get in the car." I looked up. I might as well get in the car. It would be stupid not to. On the way, I thought Vincent would mock my current situation. After all, I deceived and played with him before. But during the whole journey, he didn't even give me an extra look. When we got out of the car, he bit the cigarette and asked out of the blue, "Do you like the strawberry flavor?" After getting home and taking stomach medicine, I endured the pain and opened my phone. I searched for Vincent's Instagram among more than 300 people for more than 10 minutes. His nickname was very monotonous. Just a simple letter. N. I opened his Moments. The only post in Moments was posted several years ago. A picture of his hand wrapped in gauze, with no caption. I looked at it for a few seconds and then backed out and opened the chat interface. I had changed my phone many times. I always kept the chat messages for fear of losing important files. As expected, the chat records were as follows. Me, Vincent. Buy me a popsicle after class. He replied, okay. Me, Bookworm. How do you solve this problem? He sent a picture. The problem-solving idea. Once, I made Vincent very angry. He ignored me, and I bombarded him with emoticons. When he was really annoyed, he would just say, I don't want to talk to you. Me, then sing me a song. Vincent. Vincent always reacted to me calmly, so much so that the light kiss that night made me wonder if he was possessed by a ghost. But thinking of another very small possibility, I tentatively sent him a message. Vincent, I apologize for what happened before. Surprisingly, the message was sent. He didn't delete me. When my family's company got into trouble this time, many of my friends in the business field blocked me in advance. I mustered up the courage and sent him another message. I'm in some trouble recently. Can you help me? 2 seconds later, he sent me a call. I was stunned for 2 or 3 seconds before answering, but I didn't know what to say. There was also a 2-second silence on the other end of the phone, and then a familiar female voice came. Marcia. I quickly realized that the voice was Sabrina's. Her tone was mocking and even a little resentful. You want to provoke Brother Vincent as soon as you come back to the country. You humiliated him before. How can you have the nerve to come to him for help? I was speechless. I even began to wonder if the cold wind had made me stupid. I actually asked for help from the person who was least likely to help. It was already very kind of him not to pursue the humiliation before. After saying, sorry, I took the initiative to hang up the phone. I was just asking for humiliation. The next day, I contacted many of my friends in China one after another. Few of them were willing to help, but they still fought for some opportunities for the company. The friend who helped me the most was Kate, my good friend from high school. At night, she sent me a message. Leo is going abroad at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon. His schedule is very full. I can only get you half an hour. Kate, you're so loyal. If we can successfully negotiate this time, I'll order male models for you for a year. Mr. Leo has a solid position in the industry. If we can negotiate successfully, the company can hold on for some more time. Everyone in the circle knows that Kate is determined to order handsome male models all over the world. She directly refused and instead asked me to accompany her to the high school class reunion the day after tomorrow. On the day of the class reunion, I questioned her for a long time and finally found out. Kate was harassed in a bar a few days ago. A handsome guy came to her rescue. Later, she investigated and found out that the guy was her deskmate in high school. Her deskmate also came to this class reunion. I was confused. Why didn't you recognize him at that time? Kate clicked her tongue and whispered, he had the face of a perfect science and engineering guy when he was at school. It's normal that I couldn't recognize him. Okay. Me. When we arrived, the banquet had just started. Kate stayed with me for a while and then went to look for her. Pray. At the class reunion, there was a bit of sycophancy and showing off mixed in with the old friendship. My family was down and out. So naturally, not many people were willing to talk to me. I planned to quietly nest in the corner and wait for the banquet to end, until Vincent and Sabrina showed up and broke the peace. During his student days, he was an unremarkable poor student. Now, that tall figure was the focus of the whole audience. I lowered my head and drank, deliberately shifting my attention. Marcia. A male voice sounded above my head. I looked up and didn't realize who this sleazy man in front of me was for a long time. It's Ken. I wrote you a love letter in high school. He leaned over maliciously, and there was a strong, pungent perfume smell on him. Sorry. I don't know you. I really couldn't remember this person. My back suddenly felt cold, and it seemed that a creepy gaze fell on me. I turned my head and saw that Sabrina was surrounded by her good female classmates from high school and being teased. I heard that Mr. Vincent said in public a few days ago that he has someone he likes. Is it you, Sabrina? Are you talking nonsense? Besides Sabrina, there is no other woman around Mr. Vincent these years. Do you have feelings for your brother? Sabrina. Sabrina didn't respond, but her face blushed. Is the female lead starting to chase the loyal male supporting character? The other person being discussed crossed his long legs, and his expression was inexplicably cold. It was as if the person being discussed wasn't him. A hand landed on my waist, pulling my attention back. It doesn't matter if you forgot. We can get to know each other again, right? Get lost. I unceremoniously pushed away the hand on my waist and got up and walked towards the bathroom. When I came out of the bathroom, Merlin called, Marcia, why didn't you tell me you were back in the country? I didn't have time. I leaned against the wall and mumbled in the stairwell. Is it because of your family's company? If it really doesn't work out, you can marry me. His tone was half joking, but there was clearly a hint of testing and expectation in his tone. I had a headache because of the cold, and I couldn't help but rub my temples. I wasn't unaware of Merlin's feelings for me. During the most difficult time half a year ago, I also hesitated whether to marry him. A business marriage was the best choice to save the company. But when I went to see him, I was stopped at the door with a cold face by Merlin's mom. She persuaded me euphemistically. Marcia, Merlin went to see the daughter of your uncle's friend. He's not at home. You're not young anymore, and your family has encountered trouble. It's time to consider your life thing. Don't be naive. Thinking of this, I also refused him jokingly. Forget it. We're as familiar as siblings. How can we get married? Merlin was silent for a few seconds and then laughed bitterly. Marcia, I endured the family punishment twice to call you. I didn't call to hear you say this. I'm serious. Think about it and give me an answer. This was the first time he recklessly broke through that layer of paper. Just after I hung up the phone, a great force suddenly came from my back. I was pushed into the stairwell. I didn't hold my phone firmly, and with a thud, I didn't know where it fell. Ken blocked the door and pointed at me viciously. Don't be ungrateful. Do you know how embarrassing I was just now? Do you really think you're still a young lady? I'll let you know who you can't afford to offend. He cursed and leaned over, grabbing my collar with one hand. I instinctively called for help, but my mouth was firmly covered by his other hand. A fishy and salty smell spread in front of my nose, making me feel nauseous. Just then, the sound of washing hands came from outside. It seemed that the person was on the phone. Cancel all my schedules. I have something to do tomorrow. It was Vincent's voice. There was a lot of noise in the stairwell. He probably heard it. Right. A trace of panic flashed in Ken's eyes. And then he remembered that someone had told him that Vincent had an old feud with this woman. If he taught her a lesson today, maybe Vincent would be happy and remember a nobody like him in the future. Just thinking about it made Ken excited. He turned his head and shouted outside. Mr. Vincent, I'll take care of this bitch for you. He used a lot of force, and the skirt tore with a swoosh in the narrow and quiet stairwell. It was as if my psychological defenses were also torn apart. Tears welled up in my eyes. and I bit his hand fiercely and kicked around wildly. He was in pain and suddenly let go and took a few steps back. I took the opportunity and tremblingly opened the window in the stairwell. On the 3rd floor, the wind howled. Behind me were the man's angry curses and messy footsteps. Damn it. I'll kill you today. I steeled myself, closed my eyes, and stepped on the platform, ready to jump. At worst, I would be crippled, but it was better than being humiliated by such a person, until a powerful hand grabbed me around the waist and pulled me back. I fell heavily into an embrace, and my head was buzzing. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Ken knocked unconscious by the door. Before I could react, my chin was pinched. I met Vincent's cold and angry eyes. His Adam's apple rolled violently. You're mute. You don't know how to call for help. I wanted to retort, but my eyelids were getting heavier and heavier, and my consciousness was blurring. When I woke up, I was lying in a strange room. I had changed my clothes. There were many messages on my phone. From Kate. Marcia, are you okay? I should have accompanied you yesterday. I knew something would happen to you. But don't worry. That bastard Ken is finished. You don't know that he was dragged into the police car by the bodyguards of someone. He deserved it. But Marcia, what's the relationship between you and Vincent? When I went downstairs, Vincent was sitting upright on the sofa in the living room reading a newspaper. I walked over and said hoarsely, "Thank you." He didn't speak and took a sip of coffee. Seeing that he didn't seem willing to pay attention to me, I prepared to leave. As soon as I raised my foot, he called out to me, "Miss Marcia, aren't you going to apologize to me?" Here it is. He's going to settle the score with me, but I clearly apologized to him once. Thinking about it, Sabrina probably saw it and deleted it. Sorry. I took a breath and seriously apologized to him word by word. If I had another chance, I definitely wouldn't have deceived you that day. This was the truth. If I had known this situation, I wouldn't have offended him just to anger Sabrina. I don't know which word offended Vincent. He suddenly stood up and pushed me down on the sofa, and a hint of red appeared at the corners of his eyes. So, how are you going to make up for the harm you caused me? We were very close, and our hot breaths were intertwined. It was as close as that night on the sofa in my house a few years ago. My heart was beating faster, and I couldn't help but turn my head. My family's company is on the verge of bankruptcy. I have nothing to compensate you with. I don't know why, but I somehow felt that he wouldn't really deal with me. So, on a whim, I said, "If it really doesn't work out, you can take my life." He snorted. "Fine. I really want to cut off my tongue." Vincent let go of me and rummaged through the drawer and took out an agreement. "Sign it." My first reaction was that it was a life-threatening agreement. Unexpectedly, I saw 4 big characters on the paper. Marriage agreement. Is this right? But with this agreement and this identity, the groups that maliciously targeted my family's company might be deterred. I was afraid he would go back on his word. I quickly opened the agreement and signed my name. At this time, I suddenly remembered Merlin, who was waiting for my reply. But immediately, I rejected that thought. From the beginning to the end, my relationship with Merlin was clear, and the relationship between Vincent and me was already a mess. It was impossible to tell who owed whom. A month passed, and I still couldn't accept the fact that I was married to Vincent. At first, I thought he wanted to torture me through marriage. But that wasn't the case. Instead, my closet was filled with all kinds of beautiful clothes and famous brand bags, and the butlers and nannies treated me respectfully. Vincent allowed me to live in his house and took me to many occasions. I even ran into Sabrina crying and coming to the door to ask him why he married me. Why can't it be her? Vincent asked her back. It shouldn't be like this. The person you like should be me. Sabrina's eyes turned red in disbelief, as if some belief in her mind was collapsing rapidly. In response, Vincent calmly drove her away. I've said it. I'm not your brother. I've done my best by raising you until you became an adult. Don't show up in front of me again. Butler, show the guest out. After Sabrina was driven out of the villa, a huge mechanical voice suddenly rang in my ear. Player Sabrina, the favorability of the character Vincent is 0%. You have exceeded the mission time. You have failed this world and will be expelled from this world. Warning. Warning. This world has deviated greatly from the original work and will be permanently sealed. Players will no longer be allowed to enter. The wedding banquet was scheduled for late September. It was the wedding date set by Vincent. His birthday. It arrived soon. On that day, there was juice that looked similar in color in the glass I used for toasting, while Vincent was seeing off the guests. I got myself drunk. When he came back, it was getting dark. I was sitting by the bed in his bedroom, wearing a light-colored thin dress. This was the first time I had entered his bedroom since we got married. Taking advantage of being drunk, I boldly got up and hooked his tie and asked, Vincent, do you like me? Vincent didn't speak. It had been like this for the past few months. He didn't say anything no matter what I asked. I suddenly got angry and turned around to leave. The next moment, Vincent quickly grabbed my wrist and pushed me onto the bed. He leaned over and whispered in my ear. I couldn't tell if he was angry or not. Tell me, what do I like about you? His hot breath was flowing in my ear, making it itchy. I didn't dodge and reached out to hug his waist. I answered irrelevantly, Vincent, happy birthday. I don't know why, but after a few years, I still remembered that it was his birthday. 5 years ago, during the short 3 months of getting along, I celebrated Vincent's birthday once. It was a weekend. It rained a lot in City C, and I liked to stay at home on rainy days. While Vincent was making coffee for me, his phone suddenly dinged. I instinctively looked over. It was a birthday blessing that popped up on a payment software. I really can't be blamed for peeking. I can only blame his phone for being old and not having a password set. In the novel, he only ate cake once. Sabrina's engagement cake. He took a sip, and the rest was knocked over by a naughty child. Just thinking about it makes me feel angry. I took up my phone and ordered a strawberry series cake. As it was getting late, I casually rummaged through the closet and found a black ribbon to blindfold him, wanting to give him a surprise. The candlelight flickered, and he was sitting opposite me. There were 4 small words written on the cake. Happy birthday. But I felt a little embarrassed. After coughing lightly, I asked him, Vincent, do you have any wishes? His Adam's apple rolled heavily. After a few seconds of silence, his attitude was distant. I want to go home and rest. I was instantly heartbroken, feeling that my kindness was taken for granted. I stood up and tore off the ribbon from his face, and drove him away with a cold face. Oh, then go back now. I must be crazy to think of celebrating the birthday of such an ungrateful person. Without looking at his expression, I went upstairs angrily. When I went downstairs again, the living room was clean, as if nothing had happened. And now, that black ribbon was firmly tied around my wrist. After I said happy birthday, he kissed me as if he had gone crazy. My tongue felt sore and swollen. Whenever I backed away, he would move forward. After the kiss, I don't know how long it took. His breathing was heavy, and his hot hand landed on my waist. You asked me what my wish was. I want you. My face turned red with shame, and I kicked him angrily. That was what I asked you before. It doesn't count now. He looked at me, and his always calm eyes were completely stained scarlet. It was the same then. Me, all night. I was sweating and then drying off. When I got up again, I felt as tired as if I had ridden a roller coaster dozens of times. That black ribbon was loosely tied around my wrist. Sniffing it carefully, I could smell the faint strawberry fragrance on it. I suddenly remembered the question he casually asked on the day we met again. Do you like the strawberry flavor? So, on the first day we met again, he had planned to do this. After we got married, I spent most of my day negotiating contracts. The most communication I had with Vincent was, "What time will it end?" 9:30.
You're jealous. I turned around and glared at him fiercely, but he hugged me tightly and coaxed me softly. I'll take you to the company tomorrow to identify the person. Should I fire her? I pursed my lips, and after a long while, I squeezed out, no need to fire her. Just transfer her to another department. Okay, got it. I threw away that shirt. Whatever. At night, the stars were getting brighter. When I was half asleep in my pajamas, I remembered that when I found out that Vincent fought for Sabrina, I felt this uncomfortable feeling in my heart. It seemed that I liked him a little at that time. It's just that I didn't want to admit it. But now, even if I don't admit it, he has already found out. The weather was getting colder, and it was easy to feel sleepy when it was cold. I was lying on the recliner on the second floor reading a book, and I fell asleep after a while. When I woke up, there was a fluffy blanket covering me. Vincent was sitting next to me working. Did you wake up? I blinked my eyelashes and looked at him. I had a dream just now. What kind of dream? I dreamed that my family's company went bankrupt, and when I was being chased by creditors, I ran into you. You were holding Sabrina in your arms and looked down on me. You said triumphantly, "Marcia, you've come to this. Do you want my help? Well, if you kowtow to me, I'll give you 100,000. Vincent laughed angrily, and he put down the laptop in his hand. He asked me in return, "What did you do then?" What else could I do? Of course, without saying a word, I knelt down and kowtowed. I could kowtow 100,000 times if I could get $100,000 for each kowtow. I buried myself in Vincent's arms and kissed his face familiarly. You were so scary in my dream that I woke up in a fright. He lowered his eyes and pinched my face with a light smile. If you have such a dream next time, just kiss me like this. I would definitely submit. Vincent's side story. He had received many empty promises in his life. His mother died during childbirth, and his father was about to be promoted, but he was taken away by a car accident. This was the empty promise given to him by the novel author. Later, he picked up a family member, Sabrina. According to the plot, he tried his best to support her. He tried not to follow the plot, and the punishment he received was a pain that went deep into his bones. When I have money in the future, I'll make my brother live the happiest life. He smiled bitterly, because he knew exactly what his ending would be. This was the empty promise Sabrina made to him, until a little girl told him, "You and I are the male and female leads." At first, he thought it was ridiculous, but she never made any promises to him easily. The subject he was most partial to was English. The young lady would ask him to go to the English tutoring class with her. It's better than not listening. He had never celebrated his birthday since he was a child. The young lady celebrated his birthday for him for the first time. Unfortunately, he spoiled the fun. A classmate asked him, "Don't you think Marcia is bad?" The young lady wasn't bad. He liked her. He liked her so much that when he heard a few gangsters slander her, he fought with them desperately. When he woke up, all he got was her sudden disappearance. At first, he hated her. He hated that he had easily believed Marcia's deception. But during the middle of starting a business when he was short of money and in the most difficult situation, he could only live in a small, dark basement in the center of City C. The most difficult season was summer. When he woke up in the middle of the night from the heat, he could only fan himself with a plastic fan covered with small advertisements. At that time, his first reaction was, fortunately, she was lying to me. Otherwise, she would have to live in this basement without even a fan. On a night when he missed her the most, he thought that as long as Marcia dared to show up, he would kill her. The end of the full text.